Hi, Veronica. It's Ian. I just emailed you, I think. Um, just let me unmute you here. There we go. Veronica, can you hear me? Hi, Veronica. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful.
Can you
So
hear me?
happy you're
I
joining
assume
us
so.
this morning. Thank you, or this afternoon now, I guess. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just getting everything ready, and we'll get everything underway.
Awesome.
Hi, folks. We're going to get started right at 1 o'clock. We've got some people online who want to join us and that kind of thing. We got about 5 minutes, so get yourself a snack, find a seat, and we'll get right on it at 1 o'clock.
Hello. Hi, everybody. We're going to get started. Just wait one moment for a couple more folks to sit down here. Feel free to grab snacks at the back. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Bike Winnipeg's 2026 Annual General Meeting. It's wonderful to see so many people here, and I want to thank all of you who made the journey to come in person today, as well as all of the folks joining us online. This afternoon, we're looking forward to sharing with you some of the great things that we as an organization and we as a community have accomplished in this past year. If you haven't already, I encourage you to check out our annual report, which was distributed in our newsletter, and it's available on our website. We also have a few printed copies here if you'd like to take a look. The report is more extensive than what we're going to present today, so if you want more details, take a look in there. It's also very beautiful. Thank you very much to Ian McCausland for putting that together. We are also very excited to have a wonderful guest speaker today, Veronica O here to talk to us about inclusive transportation and transportation equity. We have a number of copies of Veronica's book, Inclusive Transportation, a Manifesto for Repairing Divided Communities, that we will be giving away to lucky attendees today at the end of the meeting, so stick around for that. With that, I would like to call our meeting to order at 1:02 p.m. And I'll begin by acknowledging the traditional lands and territories on which we meet. Bike Winnipeg has the privilege of riding on roads and pathways of Treaty Number 1 territory along the Red, Assiniboine, Seine, and LaSalle rivers. Our work takes place on the original lands and waters of the Anishinaabe, Inninawak, Nehethawak, Anishinaabe, Dakota Iote, and Dene-Dene-Dene peoples, as well as on the homeland of the Red River Métis Nation. We recognize our part in the treaty relationship and are committed to working toward mobility and environmental justice for all on land transformed by colonialism. We commit to collaborating with Indigenous communities in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. As we gather in Treaty 1 territory, it's important to recognize and honor Treaty 3, in particular Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, and Eskate Wizagagan Number 39 Independent First Nation, the source of Winnipeg's clean drinking water. It's also important to recognize and honor the First Nations of Treaties 1, 3, and 5, the land where Winnipeg sources its hydroelectric power. So off the top, I would just like to introduce a few people here today, our board members, our staff, and our local bike group chairs. If people can either stand up or give a little wave when I call their name. So our current board members are Michael Abbott, Carla Brown, Corey Dick, who is our board co-chair and also the lead of our measurement, audit, and compliance working group. Robin Dick, where's Robin? She might be outside. She's outside. Robin's the chair of our fundraising committee. Adam Johnston. Adam is the chair of our education committee and the chair of the Northeast Local Bike Group. Luke Lawrence. Luke is our treasurer and chair of the finance committee. Ian McCausland. Myself, Benjamin Meek. I'm the co-chair and secretary of the board. Linda Postma. Wendy Van Loon at the back. And Patty Weens. Patty's the chair of our advocacy committee. Bike Winnipeg's executive director, as I'm sure you're all aware, is Mark Coho. I believe he's outside looking after bikes right now, so we'll be bringing him in a little bit later. We also have some non-board local bike group chairs. This includes Chris Clasio, who is the chair of our Northwest Local Bike Group. Steve West. Sorry, was Chris here? I don't think Chris was here. I didn't want to skip over. Steve West here is the chair of our City Center Local Bike Group. Dave Elmore is our acting chair of our Southwest Local Bike Group. And then we currently have a group of folks who are together coordinating the Southeast Local Bike Group. So thank you to them. Okay. And I would like to recognize that Brian Mays, one of our lovely city councilors, is here today. So thank you very much for being here, Brian. If you would like to make any remarks, you're welcome to, but there's no pressure to. Would you like to say anything?
Maybe in a bit.
Okay, you just walked in. No problem. Just before we continue, what I would like to do is take a little moment, as we did last year, to pause and remember those who were injured or killed on Winnipeg streets this year. We hold space in our hearts for every life that is cut short or forever changed by traffic violence, for pedestrians struck while crossing their own neighborhood streets, for cyclists hit on routes that should have protected them, and for families who carry grief that should never have been theirs to bear. We remember that these were not accidents. They were preventable harms impacted by decisions about city planning regarding speed, enforcement, design, and investment. And our community is left to bear these losses. As we gather for our AGM, we honor their memory by committing ourselves to making Winnipeg a safe, dignified, and accessible space for everyone, whether they're walking, rolling, cycling, or riding the bus. We want a city where no one has to fear their journey home. So we'll just take a moment of silence to remember those folks. Thank you. So next, we will just adopt our agenda, and then we'll move on to our guest speaker. So the agenda for today's meeting is the following. We will begin with a presentation by our guest speaker Veronica O. Davis. We will then approve the 2025 AGM minutes. We will elect a new board of directors. We will present our inaugural Bike Winnipeg Bike-Friendly Business Award, which we're very excited about. Then we will have our reports, so the executive director and committee chairs will present their annual reports. There will be then time for questions and any discussion that folks in the room would like to bring up. We will announce the results of our election, and finally we will adjourn the meeting. So can I get a motion to approve this agenda, please? Does anyone want to do that? Dave Elmore, seconded by Misty Bromley. So there is a motion before us to approve the agenda. Are there any questions about the agenda or anything that we need to add to the agenda? Okay. So all the members in the room, all in favor of approving the agenda for today's meeting? Perfect, that passes. Thank you. So I will now invite Adam Johnston up to introduce today's guest speaker.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ben, for the introduction. It is a true pleasure today to introduce today's guest speaker, Veronica O. Davis. She is an author, urban planner, activist, and mentor to many, including myself. Her work on advancing more inclusive transportation gives us real hope in today's chaotic world. Veronica brings nearly 20 years of experience in transportation, planning, engineering, infrastructure, multimodal planning, environmental, and community planning. She's held leadership roles in both consulting and the public sector work, including with the City of Houston, and now she's currently in the private sector at Atkins Realis. She's also widely known for co-founding Black Women Bike, an initiative that builds community and encourages biking Black women through education, advocacy, as well as recreation. In 2012, she was recognized by the world as a champion of change for transportation, innovation, and advocacy. Her book, Inclusive Transportation, a manifesto for repairing bike communities, reflects her commitment to transportation equity, public engagement, and social justice. Whether speaking at conferences, working in the community, or joining field conversations about alternative transportation, Veronica is a true change maker who reminds us that meaningful change is possible as we grapple with the challenges we have here today in Winnipeg. Please welcome Veronica O. Davis.
Hello, good afternoon. I am trying to share my screen, so we shall see how this goes. Okay, I can't share my, for whatever reason, I can't share my screen. Okay, we're just gonna keep it moving, improvise, adapt, and overcome. So good afternoon. My name is Veronica Davis. I hear that it is snowing right now where you all are. I hate to tell you that it is sunny here, and I plan to go back outside after we finish this talk this morning. Just a little bit more about me. I am from Maplewood, New Jersey, a real bedroom community. And what I love about how I grew up was the fact that even as young as 10 years old, I could navigate my community independently. I could meet my friends and go biking to the park. I could go get ice cream. I walked to school really up until I got a car in high school. And it really forms who I am as a person and how I think as an engineer. And for me, there's a lot of definitions of equity around there, but both as a decision maker, as an engineer, I think about would I allow a 10-year-old to walk or bike in this corridor? And if the answer is no, what could I do that I would feel comfortable having a 10-year-old walk or bike in this corridor? As mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of Black Women Bike. Funny thing, I actually don't really like biking. I got into biking because I started my own company and I was poor, and I was looking at ways to lower my expenses, and maintaining my car, which at that point was 11 years old. It needed a new air conditioner. It needed the window to be fixed. And I was like, I don't have the money to do this. So I gave up my car and I started biking. And part of how I had accessibility to biking was I got a Capital Bike Share membership in Washington, D.C. So for $75 for the year, I had transportation and I could get to everywhere I needed to go. And that really formed how I got into biking. And I was sharing the story on social media. And through that, from three of us talking about biking, we actually were able to grow an organization to over 2,000 women in the District of Columbia. But in addition, it's not that even just that we got women on bikes, and we got older women on bikes. At the time, I was in my early 30s, and many of the members of Black Women Bike were actually those young retirees, women in their early to mid 50s, who wanted to stay young, who wanted to stay active, and wanted a means of transportation. And many of them have gone on to become licensed cycling instructors. Um, Most recently, prior to joining Atkins Realis, I was the director of transportation and drainage operations for the city of Houston. And I share that because I sat in that decision maker seat. I know what it's like to have the bike community emailing, and I think it's harder when you're from that bike advocacy community. The expectations for you are higher. But this is where equity comes in, where many of the bike community lived in a particular part of the city, and I constantly had to remind them, I serve the entire city. So you should be serving the entire city. And I get that you all live in one place and want all these things, but we need to make investments in other parts of the city. And I will say that during my time, my 3 years there, many of the protected, which was the standard in Houston when I was there, that standard has changed. But when I was there, really it was concrete protected, because it's Houston, it's Texas. I don't know how much you all know about Texas, but everything is bigger in Texas, including the vehicles and particularly the trucks. So my design vehicle was a Ford F-150 Texas edition, which is bigger than a standard Ford F-150. And we did concrete protected bike lanes, and many of them ended up in Black and brown low income communities, and people are using them and able to bike safely around those areas. Unfortunately, the new mayor thanked me for my service and sent me on my way, and really has different views around biking, walking, and public transit than I do. But it's okay. It really, I am glad I had the experience being there, being in the decision maker seat, having to hold myself to my own words because my book came out while I was at the city of Houston, and members of the community read my book and wrote my words back to me. And so keeping me accountable in that way. So with that, I just wanted to talk to you all about chapter 4 of my book, for those of you that will be lucky to get a copy today. And I think it's important for you as a bike advocacy community, and it's about people. It's really about power, influence, and the complexity of people. That as you all evaluate what you did last year and you think about what you're going to do for this upcoming year, it's how are you thinking about the different types of people? What are you as an organization going to move forward in terms of dealing with the different type of stakeholders and people? So in chapter 4, which was my favorite chapter to write, I talk about 4 key stakeholders. So there's people in power. Those are generally going to be your elected officials, people who are influential to your elected officials. So their staff, people who sit on whether you're a transportation commission, a bike commission, but it's people who are advising and providing guidance. It's your leaders within the Department of Transportation or whatever it may be called. I know every city calls it a little bit, something a little bit different. Those are your people in power. And so it's important to understand what is important to them. So as you all are messaging, as you all are thinking about your advocacy, how do you tie what you want with something that's important to them? And I think it's key because I think sometimes, and I own this as a bike advocate, that we can be not self-righteous, but we can feel that people should believe in the things that we believe in. And frankly, that's not always the case. You know, we have to figure out what's important to that person and tie what we want to that in order to influence them and help move them forward. Um, in the middle, I have champions and naysayers. And so this is the people who are always passionately for or passionately against a project or whatever the situation may be. And I put them together because their power and influence can vary depending on who's in the people in power. It can depend on their access, you know, to power, their ability to influence, and so that can change. But what I also focus on is the silently suffering. And that was really the key part of the book. And those are the people, they don't show up to the public meeting. They are not at your annual meeting today. These are people who are just trying to get through the next 24 hours. And once that 24 hours is up, they want to get through the next 24 hours. So we're often making decisions, even as we champion things that may be good for them, we sometimes can overtalk them, we can overlook them and not uplift their voices or have their voices really be part of the conversation or their stories to be part of the conversation. So, what does that look like in practice? We all remember COVID. It's still hanging around, but in the peak of the epidemic, and transportation was shut down, and many of us who had the privilege of being able to work from home loved it. Right? It was tough. It was tough with kids and all of that, but we had the privilege of working from home. And we celebrated the doctors and nurses and other medical professionals as they had to manage this crisis that we were dealing with as the world. But the group that got left out as we shut down public transit, as we shut down buses and all of that, and those were the people who helped clean the hospitals. They still had to show up to work, but we shut down the transportation system, and many of them struggled to figure out how they were going to get there, and we never celebrated them. We celebrated the doctors and nurses, but we never celebrated the people who were responsible for cleaning the hospital, putting themselves at risk to ensure that the hospitals were cleaned. We didn't look at I know I had the privilege of having groceries delivered to my front door, but it's the people who were delivering those groceries, the people who were still showing up to the grocery store, whether it was to stock the shelves or anything of that nature, but we cut off their access to transportation. And so when I mean centering the silently suffering, it's always thinking about them. How can we ensure that they're able to get where they need? If I have my presentation up, I have as one picture from Houston where it's a woman in a wheelchair and she's in the middle of the street. And there's open ditches on either side of the street. And behind her, there is a parent walking with a child, and there's no sidewalks. And I know that people looked at me, were like, well, you were the director of transportation and drainage. But for the city of Houston, sidewalks are the abutting property owner's responsibility. And we did go get money from the Biden administration to implement sidewalks. But it highlights a need and it highlights safety issues of you have a community where there's someone in the middle of the street in a wheelchair and they're silently suffering because they're not able to have the access to people in power. They're not able to be a champion or a naysayer. But I do in chapter 6 talk about calls to action of how we just need to move faster with projects. One of the frustrating thing about transportation projects is that it takes about, a year to a year and a half to do a plan for a corridor. Then it takes another 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 years to design, and then you have to go get the money for construction. And unfortunately, we've identified that there are safety issues. And so one of the things I did do at Houston was, even though we had a bigger, project for that corridor, if we identified a safety issue while we were going through the plan, we went ahead and implemented some of those interim solutions that would get removed during construction. But it's so important to have those interim solutions. The other key of the 6 call to actions for you all, it's really about bold leadership. I will say that when I look at my success at the city of Houston, it comes because I had a fantastic mayor. I had a mayor who was very clear that Houston needed a paradigm shift. I had a mayor that when projects got tough and communities got to screaming, that he backed up staff. He went out there himself. He went and talked to the people, and he put out a 4-minute video. It was a contentious project. He put out a 4-minute video with B-roll about why the project was moving forward. So I think, as you all as advocates, the biggest thing I can say to the bike community, to the advocacy community, is that we have to have better people in leadership roles. It makes all the difference. Otherwise, we're always in this constant uphill battle, which is why in Houston there is the swing now that there is a different mayor. But that is the biggest thing I can depart to you all as part of the call to action, is really getting better leaders into positions of power, into positions where they can see the vision. I think as we look to cities around the globe, when we look at Paris, when we look at New York, when we look at other cities where they are implementing bike infrastructure, it all came down to a leader, a mayor who was willing and had the courage to say, I'm going to make this decision and stand by this decision. So with that, thank you so much for inviting me to talk. I can't remember, Adam, if we were going to do Q&A, but I hope that you all have a fantastic meeting. I hope you all think about who is silently suffering in your community and how you reach out to them and bring their voices and their stories into your advocacy. And then I hope you think about the future of your community and how you get people in leadership. And maybe that leader is you. Maybe you are the person to run for an elected position. Maybe you are that person that has that vision. Thank you so much.
All right, so we'll do about a 10-minute question and answer period. So feel free if you want to say questions or comments. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Veronica. Thank you so much. That was a fantastic talk. I'm curious, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak more about something you said right at the end there about the silent suffering. Like, do you have any strategies that you've seen work to really reach those people and get their opinions and find out what they want to say to their elected officials? And then how do we, as an advocacy group, help those people get their message out there?
I'll say a couple things, and spoiler, there is more in the book. But one is, you have to go to where they are. They're not going to come to your meeting. They're not going to come to your event. You have to go to where they are. And depending on what community you were talking about, and this is where you all have to know your communities and who is in there, and it's going to be different for every city. But in some communities that I've worked in, we had to work through the churches, especially with immigrant communities during the first administration of President Trump. There was a lot of concern. We were doing the Vision Zero plan at the time for the District of Columbia. And it doesn't matter that I was the consultant, we were the government, and people were not going to talk to us. So in that case, particularly with immigrant communities who may or may not have documentation, we really had to work through the churches in order to be able to get an understanding of what was going on and what their safety concerns were. And we had to be very clear, and this is kind of the balance where because this was a federally funded project, we were supposed to collect data on demographics, but we did not do it in front of the people there. We had to just kind of guess, right? Good, bad, or otherwise. We just had to guess that person's demographic, but we were very clear not to ask them because it was just going to come across as we are collecting information on them. In some cases, we went to grocery stores at the first of the month because in the United States, that's when people get any benefits that they're going to get from the government for food, but also when people tend to get paid. And so going out to grocery stores on the first of the month, and once you have people and have little things that you can give away to people, it gets people talking. And from there, you can understand if people are willing to share their stories via a short video. That's another really great storytelling. Videos that can be shared on social media, but it really is about understanding who you are trying to reach and then going to them. If you're trying to reach young people, you have to work through the school system and go to their schools in order to reach them and their parents. But it's going to, it's really going to depend on the demographics of your community. So it's really understanding where they are and then understanding they may not talk to you. And so you may have to work through an intermediary.
Any other questions, comments?
Hello, everyone. My name's Cade. This is my first meeting coming here and meeting other people who are very interested in cycling advocacy. And this is my first public speaking event that I've been to. And sorry if it's a bit rough. But I really enjoyed what you were saying about going to young people, especially young kids, to learn how to properly go for bike advocacy and having more connected communities. In Montreal, I know that they have this bike bus program where volunteers go round up the neighborhood kids within certain school districts. I saw on social media that somebody live streams the events, have like a little DJ set up and make kids excited and ready and awake and active for school. And I think that could really help push the next generation for being more more active and aware in this current climate that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say some kudos to certain organizations. I know that one of the things that WABA did to engage both young people, but then also get into some of the lower income communities within the DC region is doing a pop up bike fix it station. You would be surprised of the number of bikes that people had that just needed to be repaired and they didn't have the money to repair it. Bikes were coming out of the closet. Bikes were like in people's basements. We did the same thing as Black Women Bike, where we went to a low income community where they were having an event. And we brought a bike mechanic with us, and all of these kids just came out and they were bringing their bikes to get it fixed. So that is a way, kind of two-part to what your statement was, and then even the previous question of engaging people is having the bikes. The other thing is thinking about bike education and biking. I know that a couple bike advocacy groups do bike camps. So a day where, kids and even adults, but mostly kids can learn how to bike properly, put their helmets on properly, and things of that nature. So there is really a lot out there. And even another one is there was a woman who used to have critical mass that she ran that in DC, where she also brought different types of bikes out so that parents could see and get a chance to experience the different types of cargo bikes and which one may work best for their family. So they got a chance to test ride them with their kids to get just a chance of, oh, this is an option for me.
And take 2 more questions or comments.
I'm back. I'm going to ask another question. You kind of already addressed this when you were talking about working with Black women biking and doing sort of cargo bike events to show people what's possible. But I was kind of wondering, going back to what you said right at the beginning, that you're not that into biking. That was really interesting to me. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And it's true, a lot of people may not be into biking, but I think a lot of people think they're not into biking, and some of those people might be. So I guess I'm wondering, from your perspective and from working with Black women biking, what have you found? Like, how do you get people out of that headspace, maybe, especially people who have never given it a chance, who just think they're not into biking? And like, have you come across any ways to really do that and get people to sort of switch their mentality a little bit?
Absolutely. And one of the people that I can say in Black Women Bike, not only did we get her to switch the mentality, is that she also switched careers where she works in bike safety now. She worked at the District Department of Transportation doing bike and ped stuff. Now she works at the Governor's Highway Safety in DC. So we have, but part of it starts with just getting someone on a bike. And I think that there are times when we think about bike rides where it's spandex and, I got to look like a Power Ranger, right? There's a way I have to look in order to bike. And how Black women bike approached it was like, just show up. And I was always intentional. I actually have a sticker on my bike that says, friends don't let friends wear spandex. And I would intentionally show up in jeans or just casual clothing to just normalize that you can do this thing and you don't have to do it just for exercise. You could do it for fun. But then we also had very intentional rides. We used to have one program that it was called Biking on the Streets of DC. So even there were people who could get in their car and they would bike out to a trail and they could do 100 miles. But like the thought of biking to brunch or to work or to wherever just was a foreign to them. So we took people in small groups and we biked them through different types of infrastructure. We showed people different ways to make a left turn. We showed people different ways to manage different parts of the city, different infrastructure. And I think it really made a difference and helped people feel comfortable and confident. The other thing we did, bike to work day, is really big here. And what we did was, but biking to work is very intimidating to people because now they got to think, I got to get to work. Okay, what am I going to wear when I get there? How am I going to shower? How am I going to do my hair? And all of those things. But what we did for women who wanted to try biking to work, a couple weeks prior, we would actually have a small group of people meet them at their house and do a trial run with them so that they could feel confident that they understood the route, they understood what they were encounter, and they knew what they needed to do. So it's all those little things become important. Even we had one, I know you guys are probably going to laugh because it's snowing outside today, but we had how to ride in the winter and at night to help people understand that you can still bike through the winter and bike when it's cold. You just need to have the appropriate attire and what that looks like and what attire you need. So a lot of it comes down to going to people. We always had these meetings in the community where people lived, but it's about going to people and help them see that it's possible. And so even for me, as someone who I only did it because I didn't have any money, but I could do it because I had people around me, I had a network around me, I had people I could ask questions, and I think that's really what it's about for some people. It's not that they can't do it or it's a barrier, but it's really just understanding what I need to do in order to be able to do it. And sometimes it can just be as easy as meeting that person at their house and then taking them, if they want to try biking to the grocery store, biking with them to the grocery store.
Right, Veronica, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it today. It was an honor you speaking to us here.
Thank you so much for having me. And I really hope that someone that's sitting there today eventually becomes your mayor or, an elected leader in your community. Or you go to the government side and you're the one sitting in those decision-making seats in order to have better infrastructure. But thank you all. Try to stay warm. I'll blow some of this good, like nice warm Baltimore air towards you. But stay warm, be safe. And thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Veronica. As I say, we'll be giving away some of our books at the end of the meeting, so that'll be really great to get that word out there a little more. Okay, so our next item is our approval of the 2025 AGM minutes. Not the most exciting item, I know, but it's something we do have to do. So the minutes from last year's meeting were distributed to our membership via our newsletter, and they've been available on our website. I'm hoping someone's had a chance to read them, but can I get a motion to approve those minutes? From Michael Aben, and can someone second that motion? That's Corey Dick. Are there any questions or any amendments that folks noticed that need to be made to the minutes before we approve them? Okay, so all in favor of approving the minutes of last year's AGM? I think I see a majority there. Thank you very much. So next on the agenda is our director election. So the board of directors of Bike Winnipeg provides governance, leadership, fundraising, and financial oversight to our staff and our operations. As a working board, directors also participate in the operations of Bike Winnipeg by being active members of a Bike Winnipeg committee or task force or leading a special initiative. Today we're looking to fill 5 directorships, and we currently do have 5 board members who are seeking re-election. So there are currently no vacant positions. However, we always welcome new nominations for directors, and we are very happy to have an election today if there are more nominees than there are seats. Which is what we've done in the last couple of years, which has been really great. So we did distribute a call for nominations for new board members a month ago. I don't believe we've received any nominations. However, the window is still open. So I will be inviting anyone in the room today who would like to put their name forward to be a director to do so. To be eligible for a seat on the board of directors, you must be at least 18 years of age. You must not have an undischarged bankruptcy, and you must be or become a member of Bike Winnipeg in good standing. So with that said, I would like to make a call for nominations for directors from the floor. Is there anyone here who would like to nominate themselves or nominate someone else to be a director of Bike Winnipeg? Our bylaws require that I do that 3 times. So is there anyone here who would like to nominate themselves or someone else to be a member? To be a director, sorry. And once more, is there anyone here who would like to put their name forward? Okay, not seeing any. Please do, if you're interested at all, talk to us because there will be people who will be terming out next year and subsequent years, so we will need more board members, absolutely. So if it's something you're at all interested in, please come and talk to us. We'll let you know what it's like. Join a committee, dip your toes in, and we would really be happy to have you be involved. So think about it if it's something you're at all interested in. So because there were no additional nominations, the number of candidates is equal to the number of board positions, so this will be an uncontested election. So we do not hold a vote. The slate of candidates will be elected by acclamation, and we'll confirm that at the end of the meeting. Okay, that saves us some time, that's great. So our next item then is our inaugural annual Bike Winnipeg Bike Friendly Business Award. So I'd like to invite Michael Aben up to introduce this award and to present it to our first winner.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Aben, he, him, one of the board members of Bike Winnipeg. And as a board, we decided we wanted to start formally recognizing the businesses and the organizations that are making a real difference for cycling in our community. The ones that are really advancing Bike Winnipeg's vision of more people biking more often. And so we brainstormed and we researched and we voted amongst ourselves, and we are thrilled to present this inaugural Bike Friendly Business Award to the Winnipeg Football Club. Most of you are aware, I'm sure, but just in case, the Winnipeg Football Club offers a free bike valet for every Blue Bombers home game, every concert, every event at the stadium, and it is so heavily used that every time somebody takes a photo of it and posts it on social media, that massive packed bike valet, it always breaks containment. It escapes the Winnipeg subreddit, it escapes the local social media circles. The caption is usually something like, "Is this the Netherlands? No, Winnipeg." And I love reading all the replies from people around the world going, Winnipeg? And so I reached out to Carol Barrett, who is the Winnipeg Football Club's manager of ticketing and fan services, to let her know about this award. And she said something that really stuck with me. They know that the game day experience doesn't just start when you scan your ticket at the gate. How you get there and how you get home is a big part of the game day experience. And they know that biking to the game is one of the most delightful ways to actually get there. I felt that firsthand last year. Being the Grey Cup year, my father, my sister, and I got season tickets. And before the very first game, my 72-year-old father texted me and asked, "So are we biking to the game?" And of course the answer was yes. But the Blue Line made that safe and fast. The Winnipeg Football Club made it effortless because we just handed our bikes to the incredible volunteers there in what my dad now calls executive parking. And so he would ask that same question before every single game, all the way up to and including the 2 degrees Celsius Grey Cup. So, Mike, can you come up here? Both mics can come up here. This was created by the lovely folks at the Wrench. I need you all to see this and appreciate how frickin' incredible this is. And so on behalf of the Bike Winnipeg board, and in recognition of everything you and your volunteers do to make an incredible game day experience and to make it so that more people in Winnipeg are out biking more often, I would like to present to you the 2025 Bike Friendly Business Award.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's get a picture of you guys.
And if you want to say a few words, of course.
I just wanted to say thank you for this award. It's a great honor to accept it. And I've been the Bike Valet supervisor for about 6 years now, and it's just been amazing to watch us grow from about 250 bikes a game to now 1,000 plus a canoe every once on the Banjo Bowls. And yeah, it's just amazing to hear families come to me and to say how wonderful the service is. We try to make it as family friendly and as quick as possible. And I have great volunteers like Mike here. So thank you once again for this honor.
Thank you. Something else to display also there. Great. Thank you so much. Back to you, Ben.
All right. So we'll move into the reports section of our meeting. So these will be reports from our executive director and various committee chairs and representatives. And we will start, as always, with our wonderful executive director, Mark Coho, to give his executive director report and to speak about Bicycle Valley.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, so really, this year a lot of the focus of us in Bike Winnipeg, but also really the general cycling community, went to plans and motions for calling for improved cycling facilities along Wellington Crescent. Certainly there was lots of ups and downs to that, and I'm still hopeful that we are on a good plan to move forward. It's maybe not exactly what we wanted. We certainly would have loved the pilot to move forward, but I think we are on a plan to see cycling facilities in 2027, and we will be working really hard to make sure that we're getting good quality facilities in there, that are building a pathway that builds that network up, that works on pedestrian safety, community livability as well along there. Certainly, other plans we're working on too, working through stakeholder delegations, the North Empress Road have. That's sort of coming in the future, sort of, I'm going to say a little more delayed. South perimeter, making sure we're having good access as the province builds that out. Provincial climate, a big project as well, trying to push to get provincial funding and a bit of more provincial support into the city to make sure that those cycling facilities can come in. Certainly, we feel that's a good tie-in with climate. But there are some projects moving forward as well. The downtown street renewals moving up. So we're looking to see some really positive work in the downtown come in this summer along Edmonton, a bit of St. Mary. The rapid transit as well is a project that's just kicking into gear. That's the downtown routes. So that's along Main, along Portage. So that'll be critical for cycling, as well as really, I think, for the city to build out its sort of public transportation. Public secondary plan, Point Douglas secondary plan, something we were involved in as well. Making sure that that's moving forward, thinking about connections through there. It was a really positive experience. Working with the city's active transportation advisory committee, something we've been, I think 2007, we've been a part of that now. And I think, one of the things we've really seen happen since the passage in 2015 of that first pedestrian pedestrian cycling strategy is really seeing that I think the logic behind the routes is a lot more involved. It's sort of building a network more than sort of having projects sort of sometimes the old for the pedestrian cycling strategies we're in, we're sort of along the whims of the councillors. But now it's more a strategic sort of building that network and acting more as a city as a whole rather than those individual councillors. That's really a positive thing forward. And thinking in the future too, one of the things we were working at is thinking about connections to DFW. There'll be an important study moving forward this year, and obviously the U of W is an important connection in the city. Think about our rides and outreach. The challenge this year was wildfires, and certainly I want to recognize that it was an inconvenience for us, but for the people that were affected, it was a real hardship. So I just want to recognize that as well. But we did manage to get 30 rides in this year. That's a bit of an increase. We hit 12 of the city wards. We were actually on the boundary of one of those as well. And this year we'll manage to get to a few of those ones that are a little harder to get out to. One of the other projects I've been working at is really trying to work at better bike parking options. So we have an ad hoc group that's working at that. But we also we were able to hire a consultant that has been working to review sort of best practices, looking at bylaws across the country and across North America to kind of figure out how are other jurisdictions and municipalities setting their bike parking zoning. And just right now, the city has started this year a 2-year process to rewrite their zoning. So this is the opportunity, and we're one of the stakeholders involved in that. And one of our focus areas will be on creating secure bike parking. So it's not sort of just that quantitative one bike blockable bike park spot for 10 vehicle locations. There'll be more sort of decouple it from the parking. Think about more actually the livability aspects, where people are living, where people are working, and where they're visiting, to create a better sense of security for bike parking. Looking at our bike valet, again, it was a little less busy this year. We didn't have the whiteouts go in Winnipeg 150. So in 2025, we were a bit down, but still over 2,300 bikes. 33 days where we were out parking bikes for people. And I think, we've improved some of our fences. So we've got that 6-foot fence. It's nice to have now. A little bit of lighting. We can do evening events as well. And I think one of the things is really good. We were able to, with help from the city, provide a bit of a subsidy for some of the community groups who might not otherwise be able to have a bike valet, and that's allowed us to get into a lot of different events where we might not have had them otherwise, and we're really hoping to continue that on this year as well. And it's so far this year's actually looking busier than the bike valet, so we're pretty excited about that. So if there's any questions, be happy to answer. Yeah, we make a bit. Yeah, it's a social enterprise for us. So it's helped with our sponsorship, and we have we're able to provide subsidies through a grant from the city as well. But it gives us a little bit of funding. It's not a huge amount, and we also look at it as sort of enabling people to get out and bike to events as well.
Thanks, Mark. If anyone has any questions that they think of during the rest of the reports, there's more time for questions at the end, so if you think of something, please let us know. So next we'll move on to the treasurer and our MAC, Measurement, Audit and Compliance Chair. So Luke's going to come up and present our financial report. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you all for coming today. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces and some new faces too. So I'm very pleased to present you the 2025 financial statements of Bike Winnipeg. You're not going to have them? Okay, no worries. They're in the report. Our Measurement, Audit and Compliance Committee, led by Corey Dick, has analyzed the statements and found no material misstatements. So 2025 was a very much year of investment for Bike Winnipeg. A significant amount of time and effort went into preparing and submitting our charitable status application. Ben, Corey, and Mark worked tirelessly to get that submitted. Corey will provide an update after my report. We also made a $5,500 investment in upgrading our bike valet equipment. So Mark touched on that. We got lighting, canopies, and fencing, which is great. All of that which we put in good use in the future. Overall, the organization reported a modest loss of $2,200 last year. This was partly driven by a decline in contributions, mainly donations, which were down 24% compared to last year. That said, they're more than offset by some very positive developments. Robin and the fundraising committee secured roughly $3,500 worth of sponsorships, which is up from $700 from last year, which is incredible. Thank you, Robin. That momentum is encouraging, and we look ahead to 2026. Another highlight was our merchandise sale. Thanks to Patty Ian for organizing the t-shirt campaign. I see a lot of you wearing these t-shirts today. They're fantastic. Yeah. So that generated also $3,500 of net revenue for the organization. Of course, that doesn't account for all the time and energy and effort that Patty and everyone and all the volunteers put into organizing. Because, getting the t-shirts ordered, delivered, that takes a lot of time. So that's all the volunteer work that Patty and the rest of the group did. That's not accounted for. So again, thank you. In terms of grants, Bike Winnipeg did not receive any substantial grants in 2025. However, the City of Winnipeg did provide funding to support our bike valet operations. For bike valet, as Mark alluded to, we did have fewer bookings, and the costs slightly increased as we did not have a dedicated bike supervisor, so Mark had to step in to cover a lot of the events. And if anyone's actually reading the financial statement in detail, you'll notice a bit of oddity in subsidies, as they appear positive this year and negative last year. This is due to differences in how funding is structured. Last year in 2020, 2025, the city allowed us to charge reduced rates. So as Mark said, we reached out more to more communities who might have not been able to afford our services. And the year prior, the CSRF grant enabled us to recover some costs. So I just wanted, for clarity, I just wanted to present normalized figures. So before I wrap up, I'd like to know that this is my last 2-year term at the board, so I'll be terming out. This means we'll be looking for a new treasurer in the next years. If anyone here is interested or knows someone who might be, please reach out. While accounting knowledge is beneficial or helpful, it's not required, and I'll be able to stay on as an advisor and provide as much training as possible. It's a great opportunity to gain experience in QuickBooks, finance, nonprofit accounting, payroll, and most importantly, work with a great group of people. So thank you. I'd be happy to take a question. Cool. Or if you could just come and share some exciting news.
Okay, thank you, Luke. Yeah, so for those that don't know me, my name is Corey Dick. I chair the Measurement, Audit, and Compliance Working Group. And one of the things that we've been working on the last year with Ben as well as Mark is submitting our charitable status application to the CRA. We've spent the better part of the summer and fall getting that all together. It's quite a lot of work, and what they ask for is quite extensive. So we got that submitted in, I want to say, late October, early November. And then they say to you, okay, at that point in time, we estimate that we're going to have a decision by May. Because as we all know, CRA is quite the backlog. So we did get an update from them about 2 weeks ago. They reached out to let us know. Mostly it's a request for additional information, but they gave us like some hints of like where we, you identify what are your charitable purposes when you apply. We had a handful of actual different ones, protection of the environment, education, health benefits, and they kind of say yay or nay on some of those, but they expect that they're going to probably give us charitable status under the purpose of and the protection of the environment. So we're just working through those final adjustments of like giving them some updated information, and we expect that this summer we'll get a final answer, which we're optimistic that it will be that we'll get the charitable status, which is really great for Bike Winnipeg from the perspective of it's going to give us the ability to be more likely to be able to get donations, as we'll be able to issue tax receipts to folks that donate. As well, it'll really open up the door to us to be able to get some funding from organizations and foundations that will give funding, but only to charitable organizations. So so optimistic. Obviously, we can't say we got it, but things are looking really good, and we'll give an update when we get the final answer, hopefully this summer. So thanks. Question? Yeah.
I'm a former board member way back, and we were talking about charitable status at the time. It's been going around Mulberry Bush for quite a while, so that's up to you guys for putting in the effort. One of the reasons organizations often look at charitable status is because they can't put in the bloody effort that's required. There's a lot in order to be able to secure the effort. So those people who actually worked on this, okay, good on you. I know it's a hell of a job, but it will make a very significant difference. You were talking about your funding situation. This will
Totally.
okay, yeah. This is the big one. This is your charitable status, and so I think you're going to find that, as you said, it's going to open some doors that aren't open to you currently. And so hats off to you guys for making the effort. Hats off to Bike Winnipeg. This is going to count.
I appreciate that, and and what you just said also resonated with me in that the work is not done. The work will not be done. The application is the first step. The reporting requirements will increase. So I want to just echo Luke's words that he's terming out after 2 years. I'll be terming out after 2 years. So we definitely will be looking for folks with accounting backgrounds and the ability to help meet the CRA's reporting requirements, because they will be a bit more. Nothing that we can't handle, but the more people that can help, the better. So thank you.
Thanks, Luke and Corey. Were there any other questions about the financial statements or about the treasurer's report? Okay. When we get to the end of all the reports, I'm going to be asking for 2 motions. One is a motion to approve our financial report, and the other is a motion to approve all of the reports as presented. So if you do have any questions, we can address those at the end of the reports. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
It's kind of exciting news. To add to Mark's bike valet report, we did sign on with the Sea Bears for this year. So thanks to Corey and his contacts at his place of employment, we did have a nice contract with Sea Bears to provide bike valet for the summer. So that's going to help, widen the reach of bike valet and Bike Winnipeg. So thank you.
So next I'll be moving to our committee chairs. Their reports are written and in the annual report, but I do invite them to come up and just say a word or two if they have something to say. Just basically summarize their report, give a little update. But if you want more details, please do refer to our annual report. So actually, before I get into committee chairs, I'm going to start with Robin Dick, who I think is going to give a little update on our town hall that we held in November last year. And Robin's been sort of looking at some of the responses from and the feedback that we got from that. So thanks, Robin.
Hi, I guess we won't have the graphics up, so you'll have to read the report. Sorry, you'll all have to. But I'll speak a little bit because I did. It was a nice challenge for me. I'm like sort of a scientist in my not sort of. I work for Environment Canada, but I usually work with like numbers. So this was an interesting challenge for me to have to work with the qualitative data of the not interviews, but the conversations that you all had together, which was fantastic. So I did make some little charts which are in the report, and I seem to not have on my phone at this exact moment. There they are. So the main three questions that and I will caveat all this with, we're just a board of Bike Winnipeg. We're not scientists. There's definitely a lot of things I would do differently in terms of the way that we've structured the tables and the questions and that sort of thing, in terms of making this a little more real in terms of data. But really what we really wanted is to hear from people. I mean, we hear from you a lot on rides and at coffee outside, but we want to have more events like these to have the conversation and to hear from you. So I did make just some graphics in the report. So session 1, the main question that we asked was, what was the time that you felt that Bike Winnipeg was doing something important or impactful? And again, like the responses were very wide, but the top 3 that I wanted to highlight was group rides was like a huge landslide. So that was like 36% of people that mentioned that. Second was bike valet, which we just heard a lot of reports on that, and it's growing, which is great, helping people to be able to park their bikes more safely. And then the third one was being involved in the political discussions of the day. So that's the session number 1. Session number 2, we asked, so by the end of next year, what would make you feel like the bike community has made progress? And I think looking at this question compared to the last one was a much even wider response from folks, which, I mean, it's to be expected, but just an interesting observation. So the top one would be, we'd like a completed bike network, which, I mean, we were talking about a year, so maybe some people were a little optimistic. We'll keep working on it. But yes, people want that completed bike network. Number 2 was more bike lanes, which kind of plays into that, but it was a separate coding that I made. And then the last one was secured, or the top 3. The third one was top secure bike parking. So again, that's something that we do work on already, but as some of the other reports have mentioned, that it is something that we're growing in the future. The last one was session 3, and I hope most of you were there. Did anyone want to put up their hand? Who was not at the town hall? Who was not at the town hall? So just a few, not at the town hall. Just a few of you. That's cool. Just interesting to see who wasn't there. So session 3. So this is useful then to share this information with you. So session 3 was, what would it take for you to get more involved in creating a better cycling city? So the top 3 responses there was focus more on kids, more coalitions, and more recruitment. So just to kind of summarize it, what I put in the report, the summary, the things that were mentioned in all 3 of the questions, because sure, we pose these questions to you, but we just all like to chat and share experiences. So when we were doing that, the main things that came out of all of the questions were people were really wanting more coalitions. Like we do work with some groups, like, I mean, the Wrench gave us, or worked on that beautiful trophy, and we do work with some of them, but I think it's maybe more time for us to set up some intentional partnerships and working with others in the future. Bike theft was mentioned quite a bit, and again, we work on that, but maybe it needs to be more organized. Centering kids as learning to ride programs, bike buses, kid-centric group rides, such as the critical mass rides, which when we heard from Veronica, it's very important. safe infrastructure, completing the network, and then more opportunities to connect. So those were themes that came out of all of the 3 questions that we asked. The thing that I sort of summarized is that Bike Winnipeg already does spend a lot of time on, like what we've heard, bike valet, expanding the protected lanes, completing the network, and some of the things that we're not currently doing intentionally, I would say, would be the coalition building, we do have the BEST program that Mark is a huge part of, but I think, and maybe this is a little bit self-centered, but like my kiddo is in a school, the bike buses came up a lot, so I think, and Veronica mentioned it as well, so that's something that we can intentionally start working with, and also working with other groups, like Green Action Center has a school program. So those are some things that I thought that came out of all 3 questions that are something we are not currently organizing or working on. I think that's all I have to say about the town hall. That's all we're talking about now. I won't do the fundraising. Yeah? Anyone have any questions about the town hall? It was super fun. If you didn't come, you should come the next time we do it, and we will do it again. Yeah, Coco. Oh, when's the next one? Well, we do have, we're going to have strategic planning in the fall sometime. So, I mean, I think we do have to be having these conversations because, sure, I have this nice little document and we have these graphics, but the point is for us to all have the conversations. So. Oh, yes, we do. From those questions, we will hopefully have a survey. So if you weren't able to attend the town hall, we'll do this survey and you can then participate virtually, and then we will be having more town halls. So no date, it will come. We'll make sure of it. So now fundraising. So I chair the fundraising committee. The only update I'll provide, because it is in the report, is that so last year we did, like Luke mentioned, we did have sponsorship. It was the first year we sort of rolled out our newer intentional sponsorship thing. So we have like sort of 2 levels, and we are feeling it out as we're talking to groups. So we initially started with 2 levels. We have a champion, so we're looking for like one big sponsor who like will get their name on all of the bike valet stuff, and then sort of the supporters, which are so those are $1,000 level, and then the champion is the $5,000 level. But we have noticed that we do still have these like project sponsors, so we still have like a $500. We're kind of just like, give us money and we'll take it. So we'll do whatever we want. But so the sponsors we had, the new folks we had last year was we had Manitoba Hydro provided $1,000 at the supporter level. And we're in talks right now, but it does seem promising that they'll be joining us again for this year. I'm trying to push them to sponsor Coffee Outside. And then the other one is, we had 3 last year, so the other one was Landmark Design and Planning. They provided a $1,000 sponsorship, and they have committed to again this year. They've been great to work with. Super fun, and they do a lot of great projects that I think are in alignment with our values as Bike Winnipeg. The other one we had last year was Red River Co-op, which they do a lot of community work as well, so they sponsored us last year at the $1,000 level. So this year, like I said, we have committed Landmark, and we actually have Stantec, who's also committed to a $1,000 sponsorship. So this money kind of goes into the pot of Bike Winnipeg and helping us sustain a lot of the things we do. Allowing us to offer the bike valet to smaller groups that maybe couldn't do it otherwise. The other one, who else am I in talks with? I'm also in talks with, so it was mainly Landmark. I have this written down for a reason, but I hate looking at notes. Stantec's confirmed, Landmark's confirmed, in talks with Manitoba Hydro, and I think that's all I'll say for now. But yeah, currently working on it. That's it.
Thanks, Robin. Next up is our advocacy committee. Patty Weens is our chair. Did you have some things to say?
Do I have something to say? My name is Patty Weens, and I've been the chair of the advocacy committee for the past year. I go by she, her, and if you don't know who I am, you haven't been showing up. And who was at the last year's AGM? Who was not? So, do you like this Saturday afternoon? Or do we like it? Yeah. Somebody doesn't like it, too bad. That's where we are. The question I hear the most is, it's not a question, it's more like a suggestion. Do you know what Bike Winnipeg should do? And my favorite way to answer is, you are Bike Winnipeg, when can you start? Because advocacy committee is kind of like the catch-all, the funnel of things that happen in Bike Winnipeg. We have several working groups for like bike theft prevention. We have how do we work on better bike parking, and how do we do more community engagement. And if you're thinking that Bike Winnipeg is not doing something, is because we're doing everything we can and we need you. And Bike Advocacy Committee is a good way for you to sort of step in and find out how you can help. We have a ton of ideas, but as you know, and as you mentioned, it's a lot of work. All of this stuff is a lot of work, and we need you to come and show up and help us out. So my report is written in there. We've accomplished a lot of stuff. I think one of the great things that we have been accomplishing in the past 2 years is connect. All of a sudden, everybody thinks that Bike Winnipeg is doing everything. Bike Winnipeg is a city hall. Bike Winnipeg is the radical bike lobby. No, but our members are. And this is the product of great leadership, is when people own Bike Winnipeg and they show up at City Hall. Councillor Mays knows us well already, knows us all by name. But you know, when you show up there and you say, give me the bike lanes, that is product of us getting together, of us making you feel like you're part of it. And I encourage you all to say, yeah, I am Bike Winnipeg, and go and talk to your city councilor, talk to your school trustee, tell them, you know, I do want safe speeds in my neighborhood, and talk to your mayor. And maybe think that maybe you can run. There's an election this October, run. Put your name on the ballot and give our incumbents a run for their money. So anyways, I went off topic, but that's my report for today. Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it.
You don't have to. Okay, I'm putting Ian on the spot here. Next up is our outreach committee, and Julia Schroeder actually chairs that, but Ian McCausland is our board representative for outreach, so I'm just going to throw him on the spot and ask him to say a couple things about outreach.
Thank you. I'm not going to go on too long. Outreach is the committee that gets involved in terms of planning all the rides that you enjoy. So if, you know, just to follow up with Patty's impassioned plea there, if you want to be involved in scheduling some of the rides that we're having and some of the partnerships that we're forging with some organizations to do the rides, outreach would be the committee for you to get involved in. I don't need to remind everybody, last year was a very challenging year with a lot of smoke. And forecast is for this summer, it looks like it might be the same. So we have to adjust. Last year, we had to come up with a policy for weather, which is, you know, that speaks volumes to the times we live in. So we're going to be, you know, solidifying some of the more policies around heat, cold, and smoke, so that when you do decide to come for a ride, you'll know with confidence whether it's happening or not. We're probably going to have to start scheduling cancellation dates for our rides with the anticipation. So it's a reflection of the times we live in. And on the other side of outreach, we're always looking for partnering with different organizations and seeing how we can incorporate active transportation within those organizations or those communities. I know, you know, Veronica's talk today resonated with me strongly about getting out into the community and connecting with those communities where they are. So if you have connections to certain communities within the city and you have a way to help Bike Winnipeg have those dialogues, outreach is the committee where we'd love for you to get involved. So again, the report's in the annual report. It's kind of nice that we don't have slides, because then it kind of shortens things up. You have to read the annual report. It's on the website under news. There's a few physical copies, but you can download it as a PDF and spend time with it and follow up. So thanks so much.
Thank Thanks. Next up is our Education Committee and Adam Johnston.
Thanks, everyone. Just briefly, the Education Committee actually formed in 2025 as an offshoot of the Outreach and Education Committee. We're a brand new committee, very excited, always looking for members. Just doing a lot of reshuffling right now, looking to looking to look at how we're going to educate our membership through different types of programming. It's creating cycling champions, lunch and learn program. We're just currently doing that right now. We're in interesting times, exciting times, and yeah, like I said, we're always looking for members. And yeah, my report's in the annual report. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Thanks, Adam. Next up, I'll invite Steve West to give a report on our local bike groups.
Thanks, Ben. Good afternoon, Councillor Mays, fellow bike people. Local bike groups are a grassroots source of information that feeds into our overall priorities that go to the city and hopefully end up in the city's pedestrian and cycling strategies every year. And for 2026, there's quite a lot in there, so it's going to be a good year for new infrastructure. All 5 groups are up and running and holding meetings. You were introduced to all the other chairs at the beginning of the meeting. The groups are all building out connections, engaging the biz zones and neighborhood groups and residents. Bike group chairs recently met, and one of the things that came out of that meeting, we're looking at ways to change up the meeting structure and look at maybe going for a ride as part of a meeting instead of just sitting in a room and reading, hearing about all the initiatives that are coming forward. An example of one of the successes of our local bike groups has been they've been helpful in identifying vacant properties that we can then advocate to the city to buy, and those can be cleared and often work into network connections, like on the northwest, northwest along the Red River. So that's about it for bike groups. Specifically on City Center, I'd like to really acknowledge people that came out and spoke and written submissions on Wellington Crescent. I think that's one initiative where we really saw that all aspects of the community came together with a unified voice on something. So it's really important, and I thank you all for that. Okay.
So are there any questions for any of our board committee representatives about any of the reports that you heard today? I know they were fairly brief, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to shout them out, and we can bring up any of the board reps, the committee reps rather. Okay. So as I said, we need 2 motions here. The first is we need to approve the financial report that Luke presented. Can I get a motion to approve the financial report as presented? I would so move. I see Mr. Bromley. I saw Dave Elmore first to second that. So I've asked. I don't think there are any more questions for Luke about his report. So can we vote to approve the financial report as presented? Thank you, everybody. So next thing that we typically do is we approve the committee reports as a whole, as presented. So can I get a motion to approve the committee reports? I see Adam Johnston, and I think I saw Luke Lawrence first. Are we good there, Carla? Am I going too fast? Okay. So I already asked for if there are any questions. Any other questions about the committee reports at all? Okay. Can we all vote to pass the committee reports as presented? Thank you so much. So we will go into our questions and discussions. Brian Mays, did you want to say a few words? Feel free to come up. Yeah, please do come up.
Thank you. I would have been a great time to say we were going to give you 10 minutes, but we'll cut you to 5 because City Hall, of course, cut everybody down. I voted against that, just for the record. Just for the record, yes. This is more like the rebuttal part, I think, of the zoning hearings. Proving outreach does work. Thank you for the invitation to come. I don't know if I've had them in years past. I don't think I've had, but I wouldn't have known about it. So thank you. So, it's good to see people and see the group in action. So thank you, and I hope to be back if I run again. I just a series of thoughts. I guess I'm very pleased. That's a great award, by the way. Whoever designed that is a fantastic thing. And years ago, when the stadium was getting underway, a couple of years in, somebody came to my office. They lived on Avalon, which is just south of Abenoji-Mikinon. They're meeting with my assistant and me, and they say, well, and these people, like, they pull up and park on our street, and then they get their bikes out and they ride over to the stadium. And before I could say, and my assistant goes, but that's what we want them to do. Like, that shows the system's working. So it wasn't the answer they wanted, but that was also my view. It was like, good. Like, that's kind of what we want them to bike to the stadium. So that has been a great success. And I think, there continue to be some small victories. I know Mike and others have called in about, there was a snow clearing issue between two trails. There was a piece of road that wasn't getting snow cleared, even though it was between two trails, and city staff said, he's right, or they're right. Like, we should do that. That's a good catch. So hopefully next year we complete so it's a good thing. So I I think my view continues to evolve on it. On cycling. Now that my sons are away at university, and they had summer jobs one time at Assiniboine Park. They biked all the way there. I was quite impressed by that, and it's. I think there's an opportunity for Bike Winnipeg. I mean, some of it may be almost unfortunate that the problems with transit have become so intractable and so expensive, and that I think some of us started looking around for, well, we've got to encourage mode share of some sort, and this, there are no operating costs aside from snow clearing on the bike. Let's do more of those. So I think there's an opportunity over the next 5 to 10 years to do more, to get more progress. I would say if you can come up with, I've been thinking a lot recently about the weakness of the ward-based model. When I was a school trustee in Brandon, there were 8 of us from the city and 1 rural, so it really wasn't a ward thing. And you didn't feel so possessive and so obsessed with the geography of things. And that is the problem with a ward-based system, or at least the way it's evolved in Winnipeg, that you're so intent on your own ward. So if you can ever devise a strategy and that says, well, there's something in here for all parts of the city, I think that would be brilliant and would go a long way, because you get in these battles otherwise where it's just, you always feel hard done by. And if you take, I've had a lot of free time the last couple of years, if you take, chart these things out, you go, well, really, my ward hasn't been that hard done by. And I don't think my ward's got any money for cycling infrastructure for a number of years, but that's because the cycling infrastructure wasn't too bad to start with. So if you can find some strategy that speaks to all the wards, that's a huge step forward, I think. Maybe 3 more random political thoughts, maybe 4. In the wake of the Wellington Crescent vote, it was a great rarity. A couple of people wrote and said thank you, and that does go a long way, because that is a rare thing in this job, let me tell you. So I appreciated that. I really did. I noticed. So I was not a leader in any sense on it, but I voted for all of the amendments, and 2 of them one of them tied, and at least one of them did get through. The mayor doesn't lose a lot of votes, and he lost that one. And I was with the other side. I voted for the amendment. So there's a bit of a moment there. I think a bit of an opening that people can continue to build on. And I think the by-election showed that too. There were a number of progressive candidates in that. And frankly, I was, I'm a Labour guy. I backed the Labour Council candidate, and that was not a close by-election. And around City Hall, that was very much seen as, maybe there's more going on with Bike Winnipeg and some of these other groups than we had really thought, because that was not close. I have to give credit to Councillor Durand-Wood, because we had a recent vote, again, the mayor on the losing side, a motion of mine about bringing compost pickup when we finally started in-house, and that was a 9-7 vote, and so everyone's vote would matter, because 8-8 would have lost it, and I said to her afterwards, if it was me, I might have been, still brooding about how the Labor Council didn't endorse me in the previous election, and she burst out laughing and said, like, no, I'm beyond that, so kudos to her, so, because that vote was 9-7, so, the other sort of political note, I had a great run earlier this year because I stole an idea from the mayor's platform, which he hasn't done, which is he had announced 3 10-day task forces on a variety of things. None of them happened. I thought it was a great idea. So I said, well, we're going to have a 10-day task force on how we fund school play structures. And it really went well. It worked well. There was a fair bit of media. And when people would call you and say, well, the minister can be with you February 2nd, you'd say, I said it's 10 days. It started January 19th. I filed January 29th or 28th. It's a 10-day task force. So it forces decision making, forces, it's not the great, it's not a multi-year project, but you can do 10 days on some initiative related to Bike Winnipeg. I think probably after the next election, but still, it was a very useful device, I thought. So, and the province did put some money in the budget for play structures for schools. Just to wrap up, another opening that I very much hope to talk to Bike Winnipeg about. Finally, we're getting to the St. Mary's Road study, $490,000, supposed to be coming in May. Staff kept saying, well, we're not adding another lane. And I was saying, I know, we took care of this years ago. Allard, it's mostly in Allard's ward. To his credit, he said, I'm happy to help out with transit for Councillor Mays' ward, but we're not putting, I'll delete the various F-bombs. We're not putting, which is probably from me in part of, we're not putting Henderson Highway down the middle of Norwood. So it was agreed, well, we could do some bike, we could use that on St. Mary's Road. We could use some transit cutaways. We could do this without widening the road. So remarkably, this study is going to go forward, and hope to see people involved. I'll let you know when we get it announced. So. That was probably over my 5 minutes, but thank you very much for the invitation, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ryan. Any other questions or points of discussion that folks just want to bring up today? We have a little time because we didn't have an election. Yeah, do you want to come forward or do you want to just yell? You can yell.
I'll just yell it.
Yeah.
I heard there were delays on implementation of bike infrastructure in the West End. Do we know what's going on there? And maybe this is a question mark.
Yeah, I might need you up here, Mark, for this kind of thing.
So Empress is Mark, I like your point to the people on bike.
And, yeah, if you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's.
Oh, I will repeat the question. Yeah. So the question from the audience was whether there have been some delays on cycling infrastructure in the West End. So on that, there is sort of there was a plan for Empress, sort of the Empress North study, and it's never really fully budgeted, but the expectation was it was coming within the next couple of years. I think it's been pushed back a bit. There is a West End study coming this year, and that's looking at east-west, so it'll look at Wellington Avenue, not Wellington Crescent, Sargent, and St. Matthews, as well as some north-south and connectivity to U of W. So that's coming in this year. There was also discussion around Sargent, and that might be the one you're actually thinking about. So between Balmoral and Edmonton, they will look at sort of a neighborhood agreement there. Then they will do some stakeholder engagement looking between Maryland and Balmoral. So that should take place this year. And sort of, I think in sync with that study as well. And then St. Matthew is sort of due for some rehab as well, so that should come in. And then the rail study will to, I think they're looking at doing design work for the Westland Rail Trail, so that all sort of fits into that area as well. And Sherbrooke is, I think, under construction now, upgrading to protected bike lanes.
Any other questions for Mark or for anyone? Yeah, Steve, go ahead.
Not a question, but a comment. I would just like to say thanks to our board, Mark. These are really hardworking individuals. I feel very well supported as both a volunteer and a member, so thank you all very much.
All right, anything else? Yeah.
I kind of forgot to send out a huge thank you to the board, to the volunteers, and to the members who really make this organization run. It doesn't happen without the folks like you coming out and being active, calling up and thanking your counselor when something goes right, and being there, helping us do bike ballet, helping us talk to people, helping us on rides. There will be a road marshal training next Saturday. Thinking about ever doing that. There'll be one in as well. So yeah, I just wanted to thank that. And the board, super engaged and who do an incredible amount of work. I'm just so thrilled and lucky to have them.
Thanks, Mark, and same to you. Okay, so are there any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, we're getting to the end right now, so there will be time after to socialize and to chat with each other and to talk and enjoy some more snacks, so please do stick around. So this part of the agenda was supposed to be the election results. I realized earlier I didn't name the directors who were up for re-election, so I should do that now. So the following board members are seeking re-election: Corey Dick, Robin Dick, Adam Johnston, Luke Lawrence. We also have Adina Vergara, who actually the board appointed to a vacant spot mid-term, so she just needed to be elected here today. So those are the 5 directors. As I mentioned, we did have an uncontested election, so the new slate of directors that will be elected and approved today are the same 12 people that I mentioned at the beginning. So I don't think I need to say their names again, but it's those 5 people plus the other 7 who weren't up for re-election. So I do need a motion to approve the new slate of directors, which are the same 12 who were in existence at the beginning of this meeting. Jim Chaprin? Chaprin, thank you. And can I have someone second? Dave Elmore seconded that motion. So can all in favor of approving the slate of directors as presented? Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's meeting. I would like to thank Veronica Davis once more for sharing her knowledge with us today. I'd also like to say a big thank you, as Mark said, to all the volunteers, but specifically who made this meeting possible: the board of directors, the folks out there providing childcare right now, other folks out there managing our bicycles in the bicycle valet. Thank you to all of you who made this possible. Wendy? Oh yeah, we're gonna do the book draw. That's right. Okay, Linda, can you do that? Okay, great. Thank you for reminding me. I would have forgotten.
Hi, I'm Linda. And Veronica O. Davis, we wanted to give her something to show our appreciation for her working here. She said, well, you know what I'd like you to do is just to buy a bunch of my books. So we did. So we're going to have a little draw, but this is like question and answers. So anybody have a birthday yesterday or tomorrow or today? No, sorry, you have to be here. Okay, anybody have a birthday in the last week? 1, 2. When was yours, Steve? 12th and, oh, you're closer to today. There you go. That was an easy one. Okay, I have a number in my head between 1 and 50. The first person who says it gets the book. I'm listening. I'll give it to the person who said 78 because they really need help. Okay, next one. All right. This, now don't use your phones. How many bikes are on the Forever Bicycles installation at the Forks? Okay, 1,000 up. 1,200, you're getting closer. 1,200 and 1,234? 44. You're close enough. 1,254. Okay, how many kilometers of cycling infrastructure are there in Winnipeg? What did you say, Dave? Well, you're close enough. It's 400, more than 400. We're not going to get into that. Okay, who owns more than 5 bikes? All right, who owns 6? Who owns 7? Oh, well, sorry, Dave. All right. There were 2 who owned 6. All right. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. And thank you to Veronica for wanting us to give away those books. That's fantastic. So please read them, enjoy them, and then pass them on so that everyone can enjoy. So I just want to end by saying thank you again to all of you for taking the time to attend this meeting. Please do stick around to chat and enjoy the lovely food on offer. With that, can I get a motion to Adam wants that so bad. Adam Johnston has moved a motion to end the meeting. That doesn't need to be seconded, but we do need to vote on it. All in favor of adjourning today's meeting at 2:38. Thank you very much, everybody.